Castlevania Season 3 has finally hit Netflix, bringing with it new adventures for Trevor and our trio of heroes, as well as new villains and monsters for them to fight. While the new season picks up right where the last one left off, it introduces quite a few new storylines, as well as characters like the mysterious Count Saint Germain, and it also asks a few questions about the land of Wallachia that aren't completely answered by season's end. Unlike Season 2, this year's installment doesn't wrap things up quite as neatly, ending on several cliffhangers that hint at where a potential Season 4 of the show might be going, but we do get some answers, or at least some hints, by the finale regarding some of the season's biggest mysteries. If you're still a little unsure about what happened in the 10th episode Abandon All Hope, don't worry, I got you covered. But first I gotta explain what the hell happened in Lindenfell. All seems well when Trevor and Sypha arrive in the walled village of Lindenfell, where people are obsessed with apples and buying apples and eating apples. But there's more to this town than meets the eye. A creepy cult led by a soft-spoken villain is conducting some kind of strange business inside the monastery that looms over Lindenfell. While the villagers aren't allowed into the priory, Trevor and Sypha investigate the cult's HQ at the behest of the judge, the leader of the town, who is worried that the prior is trying to seize control of Lindenfell. And maybe something much worse. Joining the investigation for his own reasons is Count Saint Germain, who is trying to find a door into the Infinite Corridor, which we'll get into in just a second. Together, the trio discovers the prior's dark secret. They have a demon locked away in their dungeon. What does the cult plan to do with this demon? Summon a door to the Infinite Corridor that leads to Hell, where they hope to find Dracula and bring him back to Earth. To do this, the cult feeds the souls of the people of Lindenfell to the demon, and those strange markings they carve into buildings around town are needed to perform their ritual. It's only through a last-minute maneuver by Saint Germain that the heroes are able to close the door to Hell and keep Dracula from coming back. But the battle leaves the town destroyed and its villagers dead. But that leads me to ask, is Dracula actually dead? Dracula himself plays no part in the story of Season 3, and he doesn't even make a cameo until the final 2 episodes. We see him first in episode 9 hugging his beloved wife Lisa in Hell, and then again in the finale reaching a hand towards the portal created by the cult in Lindenfell. The Dark Lord doesn't even speak a single line in Season 3. But what does his reappearance mean for the show? Well, for one thing, bringing Dracula back from the dead is the oldest trick in Castlevania's book. Even if he's slain by a Belmont in one game, he usually returns as the final boss in the next, and when he's not in the game, there's usually someone trying to resurrect him. Or if we're talking Lords of Shadow, the story stars the man who will one day become the Dark Lord himself. So it's not really all that surprising that the show would try to bring Dracula back from the dead so soon after his demise, and the fact that the cult fails to do so doesn't mean that he won't be back in a later season. For now, he's still stuck in Hell, which means yes, technically Dracula is dead, with Lisa once again in his arms. Perhaps he even prefers it that way. I mean, if I had a nice hot chick in my arms, I'll stay where I'm at. But don't be surprised if we actually get to see Dracula's time in Hell from his own perspective in Season 4. Another big question Castlevania fans are wondering about is the mystery surrounding the Infinite Corridor, and it's actually one of the best parts of Season 3, as it not only introduces a bit of cosmic horror to the series, but also the concept that a person can use this alternate realm to access other planes of reality and even travel to other points in time. The Infinite Corridor was actually taken straight from the games and was first introduced in 2005's Curse of Darkness, which coincidentally stars Hector and Trevor Belmont. While the cult wants to use the Infinite Corridor to bring Dracula back, Count Saint Germain has his own reasons for finding a door back to his other world. Prior to the events of Season 3, he lost a loved one inside the Infinite Corridor, and now he desperately wants to find and reunite with this person. We never meet the person in question, but do see them waiting for Saint Germain in one of the corridor's many doors. It's through this door, which leads to what looks like an upside down reality, that Saint Germain travels in the finale, promising to see Trevor and Sypha again. But where exactly did Saint Germain go? The fact that the door leads to a place that seems to be the reverse of our reality may be a nod to the big twist in 1997's Symphony of the Night, but how this twist could play out in the animated series remains to be seen. It's also revealed at the end of the season that the judge is not all that he seems. There are hints of this throughout the story, like when he leads a boy to an apple tree in the outskirts of Lindenfell and is later seen nervously wiping his hands as he exits his back room. Trevor and Sypha learn of this perverse little pleasures the judge enjoys after he's killed by Salah. The heroes find the judge's death pit by the apple tree where Salah lies dead, impaled by pikes while trying to escape Lindenfell. Sypha notices small bones littering the pit and wonders if they belong to animals who accidentally fell into the pit, but when Trevor and Sypha discover a shrine of little shoes belonging to the missing children of the town, the duo discovers the horrifying truth. The judge had been killing off kids by sending them to fetch apples from the tree, and it's twisted as hell, and it shows just how determined the judge was to keep children from running his town. And how about that magician Isaac battled at the top of that tower? Isaac faces off against an unnamed magician in episode 9, defeating him and putting an end to his reign of terror. We never learn who this magician is, but it's likely that he's just a nod to the many evil wizards that have appeared in the history of Castlevania. Additionally, the giant ball of bodies the magician creates to fight Isaac is a nod to a famous Castlevania boss known as Legion, which appears in many of the games, usually as a massive fleshy sphere of writing corpses. It's pretty gross and used to great effect in the animated series. And now for the question that everyone has been waiting for: will Alucard follow in Dracula's footsteps? The final 3 of season 3 sees Alucard walking back into his castle and shutting his doors. There you see Taka and Sumi's corpses impaled on pikes just beyond the entrance to ward off future visitors. There's a bit of symbolism and foreshadowing to unpack here. Like Dracula before him, Alucard seems to cut himself off from humanity after being betrayed and losing the people he cared about the most. While Taka and Sumi's death likely won't be enough to send Alucard on a murderous rampage, there's a sense that he now feels more alienated than before. Combine this with the fact that Alucard wasn't doing well with his exile in the first place, there's the possibility that his isolation could drive him crazy, inadvertently turning him into the monster Taka and Sumi decided he was. It would be quite the twist if Alucard suddenly found himself at odds with Trevor and Sypha in the battles yet to come. It should be noted that this is all speculation, but the stage seems to be set for the villainous turn. But now viewers are left wondering, what exactly is Carmela's plan? Despite the fact that the trailer set her up to be the new villain of the series, Carmela spends a surprising amount of time indoors planning her offense against the people of Wallachia from her castle. She decides to march her forces east, conquering and enslaving humanity along the way to establish an empire to rule with her vampire sisters. And with Hector as her slave, she can now force him to create an army of monsters for her war on mankind. We'll likely see how this war plays out in season 4. Season 2 of Castlevania pretty much wrapped everything in a nice little bow, while Season 3 has left cliffhanger after cliffhanger, but I for one cannot wait for Season 4, and I'm looking forward to the new adventures of Tremont. But alright guys, that's my explanation of Castlevania Season 3. Go ahead, let me know what your theories are on Castlevania Season 3 in the comments below, and what you look forward to the most for Season 4, and as always, if you enjoyed this explanation, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I don't do this thing for fun guys, the more you subscribe, the more videos I make. That's just how it goes. And remember, stories may fade, but real legends never die.